Welcome to the SDG Pavilion, where I'm very pleased to be joined by Mr. Jinhua Li, the UN Undersecretary General for Economic and Social Affairs. And we want to discuss today the upcoming international conference on small island developing states. The conference will be held in Antigua and Barbuda from the 27th to the 30th of May of next year. And Mr. Li, you have also been appointed the Secretary General of this conference. So thank you so much for being here today and for discussing the conference. And maybe to start, when we are looking at small island development, the developing states, we are really looking at countries that are impacted by multiple crises. Very obviously by the climate crisis through rising sea levels, and that has been a topic of much conversation here. But we've also seen how COVID and the economic and social impact of COVID has hit those countries particularly hard. And then add to that a debt crisis, and you see really how big the agenda for this conference is. So if you could tell us, what are your priorities for this conference? What are the key issues that you want this conference to see tackle?
Thank you. Well, it's really great pleasure to be with you at the SDG Pavilion. Just now, as you said, 6 months later, we are going to have the fourth SIDS conference, the fourth international conference on small island developing states, to be hosted by Antigua and Barbuda. Now we have identified the overarching theme for this conference about a decade. It is charting the course toward resilient prosperity. So I think it is in the very line with first the climate change campaign or climate action, and then also in line with the SDG acceleration. Yes, the SIDS members are, in my own perspective, are the most vulnerable groups because of those severe consequences triggered by the climate change or climate crisis, as you said it. Just to name it a few, extreme weather events, floods, droughts, hurricanes, and also most striking thing, that's the rising sea level. This is really an existential threat to the survival of the SIDS members, to their people, to their tradition, to their culture, and to their whole life. So for the SIDS 4 conference, as we defined at the course of the action, we are going to engage in an intergovernmental process to develop a very actionable, doable, ambitious plan of action for coming decades, which will focus a number of priority areas. Before this, and actually SIDS members had conducted their regional preparatory meetings and one interregional preparatory meeting already. So actually, SIDS members identified what would be the priorities for them in the coming decade, and which will cover the first of all, the climate action. That's the number one priorities for all SIDS members, and also closely linked to the COP. And second, how they can have more access to the concessional financing to facilitate them to address the special vulnerabilities facing by almost the entire SIDS members. And third thing, how the international community could facilitate them to beef up their capacity building in a number of areas like data collection, like digitalization and education. And the fourth one is how they could improve their social network including the food security, also the education, public health. The last but not least, we know that one of the special vulnerabilities for SIDS members is its economic diversification. So to us, to UN Secretariat, to the whole UN system, what we need to do is to help the SIDS members in their efforts to diversify their economy, their industry, not only focused on one or two sectors, but to be diversified as broadly as possible. So we anticipated by next May, there will be about 5,000 participants to joining the SIDS-4 conference in Antigua, Barbuda. Well, perhaps personally, I will add one thing. Beyond this, or further to this SIDS-4 conference, we need to have this new opportunity to spotlight more to the world, to the international community about unique culture, unique vision, and unique condition for SIDS members, for SIDS peoples. So we really hope that by next May, when the international representatives go to the SIDS-4, they may see by themselves how is the severity of the challenges caused by the climate change and others, and how international community can help them.
And just to, on that last point, you have very clearly outlined the key priorities: climate change, access to finance, capacity building, but diversifying the economy, but also to put a spotlight on the culture. And you said you really want this conference to develop a very clear and actionable plan. So if you look forward, what time frame do you want to see for this action plan, and what impact do you want to see as a result of the implementation of this action plan?
Well, good point. Over the past 3 SIDS conferences, actually blueprints or plan of the action have been adopted already. I think perhaps one of the major gaps remained for the SIDS members and for UN system and for the international community as a whole is how we could measure the implementation, measure the progress, and how to identify the gaps and will generate additional support, including the financial resources, including the human resources, and also partnership to the SIDS members. So for this SIDS conference, I guess one of the striking features would be we are going to develop a kind of evaluating mechanism and also reviewing criteria, and also to enhance the mechanism either located in the SIDS members or within the Secretariat to help them to develop the specific timeline, what kind of specific targets can be accomplished, and then we'll see how we could move to the next step. In one word, we want to see this, the plan of action is really doable, it's really operated. It's not only remained as a blueprint.
So much. And obviously, I mean, small island developing states, or SIDS as we abbreviate them, are a group of countries with very, very particular, needs and problems that you want to address at this very specific conference and moment. But are there other events, are there other moments on the international agenda where you think the voices of small island developing states can be heard, and the particular issues that they are facing and threats and challenges they are facing can be discussed?
Sure. Looking ahead, there are a number of high-level events because the UN has a very ambitious agenda in coming months or years. For instance, like Summit of the Future to be held next September. One of the focuses for this summit is to develop the more momentum to reform the current international financial architecture, which actually would help the SIDS members to address their concern, their vulnerability to apply the 40 concessional loans. That is one of the key issues, one of the key concerns shared by entire SIDS members. And second, also, we are going to have this ocean conference to be held in Nice, France in June 2025. You know that the ocean conference, or UN Ocean Conference, always focused on the conservation and sustainable utilization of the ocean resources. It is a new opportunity for SIDS members to engage with other development partners to diversify the economy into the blue, green, orange. So we can define that how that will be the next roadmap for SIDS members in their collaboration with other partners, and also with multi-stakeholders like private sector, like academia, women group, and the youth group.
Well, thank you so much, Mr. Lee, for this conversation, and much, much success. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Thank you.